is intended to aid you in designing your laser cut lantern. You can see on the screen here we have some shortcuts, and I'm going to go through them with you now. This template will be shared with you so you can design whatever you like inside these shapes just here, and you can laser cut out each shape, or you can etch the shapes into the wood. So firstly, let's have a look at our shortcuts. You can see here that we have V for the selection tool. That selects an entire object. I can hit delete to delete that object. Command Z or Control Z if you're on a PC, will undo what you have just done. And if I want to delete part of an object, I can hit A for the direct selection tool, and I can zoom in. And what I can do is just click on here, press delete, and that just deletes part of an object. As you can see, Command Z just to undo. Now we also have the pen tool, and I'll go through the pen tool in a moment when it comes to creating shapes just like this. We have L for, so I will actually just hit the P command. So pen tool allows you to draw a series of shapes. Now one thing that's quite important, we'll talk about this in a moment, is making sure that you have no fill. So the little red stroke gives you no fill, and a black stroke. Okay. Now if we want to do an ellipse, you can hit L on your keyboard. Now remember, you can get all of these different tools over here. The shortcuts are just written on the side for certain tools. So to do an ellipse, here we go. To do an ellipse, we just click and drag to create whatever shape we want. Now if you want a perfect circle, you can hold down the Shift key. So if you hold down the Shift key, you will get a perfect circle, which can be helpful. Now, if I want to delete this shape that we have in here, what I can do is I can hit V on the keyboard, select, delete. Now, other things we talk about down here is copying and pasting, Control C and V. The text tool, you can see here that we can write text with T, and I can say, just leave the standard text in there, and I'll say hello. And the important thing to remember, excuse me, I'll just undo that. So what I'll do is I can increase the size of the text up here. There we go. And if I zoom in, I'm going to hit Escape to get out of the text command, or you can hit V to get back to the selection tool. What I have to do to laser cut this is create outlines. Your text won't create outlines unless you have, or your text won't actually get laser cut unless you click Create Outlines. There we go. So it's hard to see, but if you look in really closely, you can now see that the outside and the inside has a little blue line, and that's the vector line that the laser cutter will recognize. While I'm on the text tool, what I'm going to do is show you how to type on a path. So if I want to create a straight line here, it's a little bit tricky. So what I'll do is hold down the Shift key, and that'll allow me to create a straight line, or 45 or 90 degree while I move around. Now, hit Escape. What I'm going to do is click here. Now you can see that my line disappeared, and this is a common problem that causes some issues for students. So the problem was that there was no line, or there was no stroke set, but there was a fill. However, a line itself cannot have a fill. So what we'll do here is, whenever you select a new tool, for example the pen tool, You must always go back here and set the settings to no fill, click on the stroke and go to a black line. So we'll click here once, click and drag. Now I can create a little arc for myself, and to stop that arc I can hit escape. Now if I hit A on the keyboard, that allows me to manipulate this line using the little toggle handles. So the reason I'm showing you this right now is partly to show you how to use the pen tool, the basic way to use the pen tool, but also how to type on a path. So this is a type on a path tool. I'll select my path and I'll be writing for example, laser cut lantern. It should continue in that direction. Excuse me. I see. So in that case, I was mistaken. It won't go past the end of the line, but you can just draw a longer path if you need to. So what I could do in this case is click on the path itself, click on the anchor point down here. I can manipulate the anchor point to manipulate my text. So this is getting a little bit more advanced. If you're struggling with this, don't worry. It's something you get the hang of over time. So I recommend using this video to just help you get a feel for using the tools. So we'll just delete what I had there. Next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the little prompters I have down here. I have repetition of shape, I have floral patterns or natural shapes. You can see I've got a little image up here. If you want to get an image, what you can do is you can go into Google and find an image that you like, something you'd like to be inspired by. For example, you can see here we've got some leaf patterns, which is pretty cool. I can copy the image and go back to Illustrator, and I can go Command V, copy the image in here. Now I strongly advise not to be tracing over images. It's a form of plagiarism, really. So what I would like you guys to do is you can be inspired by existing designs out there, but I'd like you to design your own so you can be proud of your own work rather than just copying what's out there. So now that I've got two images up here, what I can do is I can actually look for a geometric animal. Let's get some inspiration. You can see here we've got a wolf. It's pretty cool. Copy that in. There's my wolf. So I will to do my own original design. I will go to black and white, wolf. I'm looking for an image that will allow me to separate the different parts of the wolf's face. This one here is looking pretty interesting, but possibly this one here is the best. So I copy the image and I'll just paste it in here. Okay, so more about that later. The main thing you should try and achieve first up is repetition of shape and creating a little pattern through repeating a certain shape. So right now I just want to delete some parts of this previous work I've already done. So I'm going to recreate this and I'll try and do a selection pattern, but this is the problem. I hit delete and it all deletes. The reason for that is I was on the wrong selection tool. You need to be on the direct selection tool to select the items you need to delete. So we've gone over the top there. Let's try again. can hold down Shift. Now what just happened there is I held down Shift, but then I also went to the direct selection tool to deselect an object around here, which might be a little bit confusing, but don't worry too much about that right now. So you can see I've created a little kind of arrow effect down the bottom here. It's almost like the arrow head of a bow and arrow, if you like. And what I will do is I'll use the pen tool to just recreate what I have down here. Zoom in a little bit more to make it easier. Now I want to create a 45-degree line here, so I'll hold down Shift. Good. And at this stage, rather than trying to get everything to line up perfectly, I'm going to overextend this line. Perfect. I'll hit Escape, and then I'll start fresh from this point. Now I'll extend through here, hold down Shift, and now I have the shape I want with a little bit of excess. So what I have just done is I've hit A on the keyboard, I went to the direct selection tool, and at the end of each line, or at each corner, there's a little anchor point. So I'm just going to drag that anchor point over, drag this one up. There we go, we have our shape. So the way I actually got the effect just below is I copied this shape, Command C, and then Command Shift V. That is just copied the shape directly over the top. So I've got a direct copy on the top. There is a little feature in here, so you would click and hold. Usually the rotate tool is up, but you can click and hold on the reflect tool or just press O and release. And if I click along 2 points right on this line here, it'll copy the shape down. Now, because I want to leave some space behind here when I laser cut, what I want to do is separate these two items. Otherwise, the entire arrow or all of this shape would fall out. So I'm just going to move this up, and now I have the shape that I want. If I want to join these two together as one group, I can right click and group, and then it will select both at once. And I've just gone Command C, Command V, and it copied the shape. However, what I'd like to do is go Command C, again that's Control on the PC, and that's Control Shift V. The reason I held Shift is so that it would create a direct copy on top, and I use my arrow keys to move things into position. So you can see that I have just started experimenting with repetition of shape. I can group all this together, and I can rotate by going to the corner, rotate to 45 degrees by holding Shift, and maybe I would like something, for example, a little bit like this. That looks kind of cool, just in the corner. It's a nice little accent in the top corner, a nice little feature. Now I will repeat the repetition of shape just over on this side so we've got some clear space, and I will use the polygon tool to create a polygon. So at present the polygon tool has been set to 12 sides. That was just due to my last design that I was doing, and you can see it has popped up with black fill and no stroke. That's not what we want. So again, turn off the fill. So usually I just click on these two little buttons just to go to default, and then turn the fill off. So what I'll do is I'll delete this little shape here, and when I select the polygon tool, I can just click on the screen and reset my settings. So I will go to a six-sided polygon, and that looks like the shape I'm after. You guys can experiment with that. And now I will resize this. Notice that I lose my proportions unless I hold down the Shift key, and it snaps to the position. Command C, Command Shift V. Every time you hear Command, as you may be working on a PC, you can just think Control. I have two shapes here now, looking good. Move this down a little bit. That looks good to me, so I'm just going to copy this again. Got equal spacing throughout here. Visually it looks fine, I don't need to measure or anything like that. Now that I have these three shapes, I'm going to group them. Control C, Control V. And now I can use my arrow keys to get them into position. Now I'm getting a little bit of a beehive effect. Now one thing that can be a problem is when I'm selecting all of these items, it is selecting the outside of the lantern as well. To undo that, you just hold Shift and deselect the lantern. So now the lantern's been deselected and I just have the objects inside here. I'll group them, and C, Command V. Could have held Shift if I wanted to. Now I have a little problem down the bottom in that this object, oh, I think things have shifted out of position, so I can click on both. Rather than doing a selection box around your objects, if you click on the object and hold down Shift, you can select multiple objects and isolate them together. So we can see things are a little bit out of position, so I will move it back into position, and I can see down the bottom that obviously I don't want to take up your time by completing the whole design here. I'm just showing you the one effect you can do. What I'm going to do right now is I'll just show you how we can ungroup a series of objects, and you can have groups within a group. For example, there was a group of 3 within a group of 6, and I'll just delete the one I didn't want down here, and it's looking pretty good. One thing to be conscious of is we don't want to get too close to the edge of the lantern like we have over here. This would be as close as we would want to get. That is everything for now. Rather than making a really long video, I'm just going to pause here just so that this can get you started, and we can look into things like creating cool effects like this. This is a tree that has been incorporated into a square so that the light shining through the tree, the light shining through the tree branches is the negative space. So that's what we actually cut out, and you can see the tree is left behind. And you can see that can be copied to all sides. Our leaf up here, and also our geometric animal. I can show you how you can achieve a good effect with a geometric animal on a laser cut lantern as well. So these are some things we can do. You have complete creativity to design whatever you like here, and I wish you all the best.